With the return of Major League Baseball in 2026 comes renewed conversations about the same topics. How the Dodgers are supposedly ruining baseball, why we need or don't need a salary cap, what's up with all the strikeouts, and so on. But the most common topic of conversation in any given season, all things equal, is about balls and strikes. And finally, in 2026, we have the opportunity to right some wrongs and call the game a little bit more fairly. With the start of the 2026 season came the beginning of the Automatic Balls and Strikes, or ABS, challenge system. The rules are simple. As a pitcher, catcher, or batter, you simply have to tap your head to challenge a pitch call. If you're right, you keep it. If you're wrong, you lose it. And so far, the results have shown us that ABS is the biggest difference maker in the game to date. Let's start with a fairly concrete example on opening day. The Red Sox are playing the Reds in Cincinnati. Boston is up by a run in the 9th inning with Roman Anthony at the plate in a big spot. Full count, the pitch comes in, and it's called strike 3 on a ball that looked out of the zone. The umpire rings him up, but a tap of the helmet and a few seconds later, the call is overturned and he's able to draw a walk. Next batter up is Trevor Story, who lines a base hit into left to drive in a massive insurance run in a game the Red Sox would end up winning. That one call changed the complexion of the inning, and who knows, in a one-run game in the bottom of the 9th, maybe the Reds come back and tie it or even win it. And in a pre-ABS world, that is an entirely too realistic scenario. It's entirely too easy for us sitting at home or in the stands to say what's a ball and what's a strike. But what we say doesn't matter. Umpires, on the other hand, standing right behind the hitter and catcher, have a fraction of a second to decide whether or not this 95-mile-per-hour fastball catches a tiny little piece of the strike zone. In case you were wondering, the time it takes for a league average fastball, 94.6 miles per hour, to get from the mound to home plate is fractions of a second slower than the blink of an eye. Quite literally, blink and you'll miss it. The strike zone has never been exact in the history of baseball. And yes, I personally do like the ABS system, and I think umpires should be held to a higher standard than has been the case for basically my entire life. But we were, of course, going to have pushback from the umpires union on ABS. The goalposts are literally being moved in real time. That said, there are still moments where umpires have to be better. Much, much better. Specifically, the World Baseball Classic semifinal between the USA and the Dominican Republic on this pitch from Mason Miller to Geraldo Perdomo. A good 4 inches or so below the strike zone isn't exactly close, and it's a no-brainer to challenge. I'm not by any stretch saying the DR would have won that game or even should have won, but had ABS been present in the WBC, the opportunity for the Dominican Republic to win would have been there. We're not asking for perfection. We're just asking for equal opportunity. That's what makes baseball the best sport in the world. Each team has 27 outs. There's no running out the clock at the end of the game with a lead. You can't just, run the football while up 25 points in the Super Bowl. You can't just dribble into the corner flag like in world football. You have to meet your opponent at the plate mano a mano. But when an umpire's poor decision-making in a big spot robs one team of their opportunity, the game isn't exactly fair anymore. Despite all their bad calls and decidedly poor decision-making, umpires are human, and at the end of the day, they're going to make mistakes. It just kinda sucks that sometimes their mistakes are so influential for all the wrong reasons. Even Perdomo acknowledged this when he shook Corey Blazer's hand just weeks after Blazer rung him up as the final out in that WBC semifinal. Everyone acknowledges that it's part of the game, but it doesn't always need to be that way. We don't need umpires to be perfect, but we do need a way to keep them in check when there are mistakes. Now, ABS doesn't completely fix the human element of umpires. If a team runs out of challenges and we have a Corey Blazer WBC moment, that's just another, that's baseball moment. You had your challenges, but you lost them. But until the day comes when umpires are completely replaced by an automated system, we'll continue to have that human error. Any way you slice it, ABS has been a net positive through the first quarter of the season. Even the most cynical umpire apologists have to admit that when pitches that appear to catch every inch of the strike zone are called balls and can be very quickly and efficiently overturned, you have an unqualified success. At the time of this recording, approximately half of all challenges have been successful. 53% overall, 46% from batters, 60% from catchers, and 35% from pitchers. But there's been another potentially unintended consequence of ABS that's going to make baseball, particularly in October, exponentially more exciting. When the last major set of rule changes, the pitch clock, bigger bases, and shift restrictions, was implemented ahead of the 2023 season, the goal was to increase offensive production across the league. Shifting was an analytically driven method of taking away hits from the offense. That was taken away, and offense went up. Bases were made bigger to promote more stolen bases. More players then stole bases. Pitch clocks were implemented to both speed up the game and prevent pitchers from disrupting the hitter's timing. Games got faster, and hitters produced at a much higher level. But the one thing that stayed fairly stagnant over the first 3 seasons of the pitch clock era was the number of players who walked more than they struck out. In 2023, 4 players had a higher walk rate than strikeout rate. In 2024, it was 3 players. 2025, back down to 2. But so far in 2026, through the middle of May, 16 players in the league are walking as much as, if not more, than they strike out. ABS is effectively shrinking the strike zone. So why does this matter for the playoffs? It's the old saying in baseball. In the regular season, a base runner is a base runner. But in October, a base runner is a rally. And nothing puts pressure on a pitcher and defense in October more than traffic on the bases. ABS isn't giving the hitter or the pitcher an unfair advantage, but it is rewarding hitters who have a good understanding of the strike zone and make disciplined swing decisions. More walks, more traffic, more rallies, and more rallies means more excitement in October. ABS has been one of the best rule changes in baseball history, and we already have proof through the first quarter of a season that MLB is more wacky, fun, and exciting than it had any right to be.